You have flown before. You know the routine. You feel confident walking through the terminal without a second thought. And that confidence is exactly what airports count on. Every year, thousands of experienced travelers lose money, miss flights, and turn relaxing trips into stressful ordeals, not because they are careless, but because they trust habits that quietly stopped working. Airlines will not warn you, gate agents will not slow down for you, and the travel industry profits every single time a passenger repeats the same predictable mistake. Today, we are breaking down 12 airport mistakes that seniors are still making in 2026, small habits that look harmless until they cost real time, real comfort, and real money. Some of these traps hide in places you would never expect. They do not look dangerous at first glance. They look like ordinary travel habits you have used for decades without a single problem, and that is exactly why they are so easy to miss. So stay with us all the way to the end. Before we get into the list, if you want honest travel guidance made specifically for travelers over 70, this channel, Fly Smart After 70, breaks down details exactly like these every week. So consider following along so you never walk into an airport feeling unprepared again, since a few minutes of preparation now can quietly save you hours of frustration later. And now, let us begin. Mistake 12. Trusting a tiny travel pouch with all your valuables. It feels organized. You place your passport, boarding pass, cash, credit cards, and sometimes your medication all into one small pouch. Everything in one place. Easy to reach, easy to carry. And it sounds smart until it disappears. A tiny pouch is one of the easiest items to lose inside a busy terminal. It slips off counters during check-in. It gets left behind in restroom stalls. It slides out of a carry-on pocket. And unlike a rolling suitcase, nobody notices right away when it vanishes. A lost suitcase draws attention. A small pouch just disappears into the chaos like it never existed at all. Thieves understand exactly what these pouches usually hold: passports, cards, and emergency cash. So to them, it is not a pouch. It is an opportunity, and one distracted moment near a coffee stand or a security line can turn into panic, canceled plans, and expensive recovery costs. A rushed passport replacement alone can bring painful fees and long delays that eat into your trip before it even starts. The smarter move is to keep your most critical items on your body, inside a zipped jacket pocket or a money belt under your clothing, and to reduce the number of loose bags you are juggling, because every extra item divides your attention at the exact moment you need it most, and a few seconds of hesitation while searching for a scattered pouch is often all a distracted thief actually needs. So the fewer places your valuables can hide, the fewer chances you give the airport crowd to quietly take advantage of you. And a body-worn pouch under a jacket simply cannot slip off a counter the way a loose one can. Mistake 11. Wearing new shoes to the airport without breaking them in. You want to look put together for travel day, so you pull out that new pair of shoes still stiff from the box, and they look great until you have walked through 3 terminals, stood in 2 long lines, and removed them twice at security. New shoes were never tested against hours of standing, walking, and swelling feet from long flights. And that combination often leads to blisters, pinched toes, and aching arches before you have even reached your destination. Airports involve far more walking than most people expect. Sometimes a mile or more between check-in and your gate, and unfamiliar shoes turn that walk into a painful test rather than a simple stroll. Slip-on styles can also slow you down at security. fumbling with laces or tight straps while a line of travelers waits behind you, and that pressure only makes the discomfort worse. Smart travelers wear shoes they have already broken in during normal daily walks at home. Comfortable, familiar, and easy to remove quickly, and they pack a lightweight backup pair only if truly needed, because your feet carry you through the entire journey. And travel day is the worst possible time to test something new on them, so save the brand new shoes for the trip itself and let a familiar, comfortable pair handle the airport marathon instead. Mistake 10. Skipping online check-in until you reach the airport. You tell yourself you will just handle it at the counter, and that sounds relaxed, but it can quietly cost you. Airlines routinely overbook flights, expecting a small percentage of passengers not to show up, and when the flight fills up, late arrivals to check in often face fewer seat choices, longer waits, and sometimes real stress they never anticipated. Online check-in is not just a convenience, it gives you position, and when the window opens, usually 24 hours before departure, travelers who check in early lock in better seats, confirm their details, and catch small problems while they are still comfortable at home. Wait too long, and you may arrive to a long line, limited seating, or unnecessary gate chaos. And that is when a vacation starts with frustration instead of excitement. Some travelers lose an hour fixing an avoidable issue, others lose most of a day. The smarter move is to set a simple alarm exactly 24 hours before your departure time, check in the moment it opens, and save a screenshot of your boarding pass as a backup in case anything goes wrong later at the gate, since a saved image loads instantly, even when airport Wi-Fi is slow, crowded, or completely unavailable when you need it the most, and a paper printout in your bag works as an extra layer of protection for anyone who prefers something that never needs a battery at all. Mistake 9. Forgetting to carry a portable power bank. Your phone holds your boarding pass, your hotel confirmation, your rideshare app, and your only way to reach family if plans change, and yet many travelers walk into the airport with a battery already sitting below 50%. Terminal outlets are often crowded, hidden behind furniture, or simply unavailable near your actual gate, and a dying phone at the wrong moment can mean missing a gate change announcement, or struggling to pull up a digital boarding pass while a line grows behind you. Long layovers, delayed flights, and hours spent navigating unfamiliar terminals all drain a battery faster than a normal day at home. And relying on a single overworked outlet shared by a dozen strangers is never a real plan. A small portable power bank, charged the night before, and packed in your personal bag rather than checked luggage, solves this instantly, keeping your phone alive through delays, gate changes, and long walks between connections. It costs very little, weighs almost nothing, and yet it quietly prevents one of the most common and avoidable stress moments of modern air travel. So treat it as seriously as your passport and your boarding pass, and keep it topped up throughout the day, rather than waiting until the battery icon turns red before you finally look for an outlet, because by then, every nearby outlet is usually already taken by another anxious traveler. Mistake 8. Choosing airline seats without checking the aircraft layout. You open the seat map, tap the first decent option you see, and feel satisfied. A window seat or an aisle seat that looks perfectly fine on the screen. That seat that looks ideal online can turn into a disappointing reality in the air. It could sit right beside the bathroom door with constant foot traffic. It could be near the galley where carts rattle and lights stay bright for hours. Or it could belong to a row that barely reclines at all. Some window seats do not even line up with an actual window, and a seat map alone rarely tells the full story behind the number. Smart travelers spend a few minutes researching the specific aircraft layout before selecting a seat, checking for noisy zones, poor recline rows, and better legroom spots that the airline map does not clearly show. Avoiding seats near lavatories, galleys, and the very last rows when possible makes a noticeable difference, and exit rows can offer extra space for travelers who meet the requirements. One better seat choice can transform an entire flight from exhausting to genuinely comfortable, and it costs nothing but a few extra minutes of research before you book. So treat that research the same way you would treat checking reviews before choosing a hotel room, because comfort in the air matters just as much as comfort on the ground, and a peaceful 5-hour flight always feels shorter than a cramped 5-hour flight, even when the clock says otherwise. Mistake 7. Ignoring airport walking distances between gates. You land, you glance at the gate number for your connection, and you assume it is just a short walk away, the way it usually is back home. Modern airports are enormous, and a connecting gate can sit a mile or more from where you land, sometimes requiring a train ride, an escalator, and a long hallway before you even see a seat to rest on. Travelers who underestimate this distance often rush at the last minute, arriving breathless, overheated, and anxious right before boarding, which is exactly the wrong way to start a long flight. Tight connections make this even riskier, because a short scheduled layover can quietly become nearly impossible once real walking distance and security checks are factored in. Smart travelers check their gate-to-gate distance the moment they land, using airport maps or apps that show real walking times, and they build in extra buffer time whenever a layover looks tight on paper. A few minutes spent understanding the terminal layout in advance can be the difference between a calm, comfortable connection and a stressful last-minute sprint through a crowded hallway and requesting a wheelchair or a cart ride. Ahead of time is never something to feel embarrassed about, since airport staff arrange these accommodations every single day for travelers who simply want to arrive relaxed instead of rushed, and asking for that help early almost always beats discovering the hard way, halfway down a long hallway, that the walk is longer than expected. Mistake 6. Getting distracted shopping in duty-free before finding your gate. You clear security, feel a wave of relief, and decide to browse for just a few minutes. One store becomes two becomes 5, and you are comparing prices, smelling perfume, and looking at gifts while the clock keeps moving. Airports are carefully designed to guide passengers through these shopping zones, and the longer you linger there, the more likely you are to lose track of time and spend money you did not plan on spending. Many travelers stop paying close attention once they are past security, assuming the hardest part of the day is already behind them, and that is exactly when trouble quietly begins. Some miss boarding announcements entirely. Some misjudge how far their gate actually is, and some arrive breathless just as the final boarding group is called. The smarter approach is to locate your gate first, confirm it on the departure board, and understand exactly how long the walk will take before you allow yourself to browse anything at all. Set a firm alarm for a safe return time, and only shop once you know precisely how to get back quickly, because a cheap souvenir becomes very expensive if it costs you your flight, And no discounted bottle of perfume is ever worth the stress of sprinting through a terminal while an agent closes the door behind the very last passenger. So let the shopping wait until you know your seat is already secured and your timing has real room to breathe. Mistake 5. Charging your phone at public USB ports without data protection. Public charging stations scattered around airport terminals look completely harmless, offering a quick and convenient way to top up a phone before a long flight. Some of these ports have been compromised in ways that allow data to be accessed while a device is connected, a risk security experts often call juice jacking, and travelers rarely think twice before plugging in. Seniors are frequently targeted specifically because they may be less familiar with these particular risks, making a quick charge feel completely routine when it actually carries hidden exposure. The safer habit is to travel with your own portable power bank or a wall adapter that plugs directly into an outlet, avoiding public USB ports entirely whenever possible. If a public port is truly the only option available, a simple data blocking adapter, sometimes called a USB condom, allows power to pass through while blocking any data transfer, giving you a charged phone without the unnecessary risk. It takes only a moment of preparation at home, and it quietly protects the personal information stored on the very device you rely on for boarding passes, banking apps, and family contact throughout your entire trip. And once that habit becomes routine, you will find yourself reaching for your own charger automatically without ever thinking twice about a random public outlet again. Mistake 4. Eating heavy or greasy meals right before boarding. That restaurant near your gate smells wonderful, and the idea of one last satisfying meal before boarding feels like a small reward after a long morning of travel stress. Your stomach may have very different plans once you are sealed inside a pressurized cabin for several hours. Rich meals, greasy foods, and unfamiliar dishes often feel far worse in the air, where cabin pressure changes, dry air, and hours of sitting can increase bloating, reflux, nausea, and general discomfort. What felt like a well-earned reward at the terminal can quietly become hours of regret once you are trapped in a narrow seat with nowhere to move. Many travelers blame the flight itself for how they feel afterward, when the real cause was sitting on their plate less than an hour before takeoff. The smarter move is to choose simple, familiar meals your body already handles well, avoiding heavy dairy, extremely spicy dishes, and risky last-minute food experiments right before boarding. Packing a few light snacks, crackers, or ginger chews gives you a gentler backup option if your stomach feels sensitive once you are finally in the air. And saving the indulgent celebratory meal for after you land, once your body is back on solid ground, almost always feels far more satisfying anyway. Mistake 3. Forgetting prescription medications in checked luggage. You pack carefully, fold everything neatly, and slide your prescription bottles into your checked suitcase along with your clothes, assuming they will simply arrive with the rest of your belongings. Checked luggage can be delayed, misrouted, or lost entirely. And when that happens, the last thing you want separated from you is a medication you genuinely need on a daily schedule. Airlines lose thousands of bags every single day, and a missing suitcase becomes a far bigger emergency when it also contains blood pressure medication, insulin, or any prescription that cannot simply wait a day or two for a replacement flight to arrive. Airport temperatures inside a cargo hold can also fluctuate more than most travelers expect, which is not ideal for certain medications that require more stable, controlled conditions. The smarter habit is to always keep every prescription medication in your carry-on bag, along with a printed copy of the prescription itself, in case questions come up at security or at your destination. Packing a few extra days' worth of medication beyond your planned trip length also protects you if a flight delay or cancellation stretches your travel time longer than expected, and keeping medications in their original labeled containers avoids unnecessary confusion or questions at any security checkpoint along the way, giving you one less thing to worry about while you are focused on catching your flight. Mistake 2. Ignoring jet lag until after you arrive. This is the silent trip killer that quietly ruins more vacations than almost anything else on this list. You land in a beautiful new city feeling completely exhausted, wide awake at 3 in the morning, tired again by lunchtime, hungry at strange hours, and irritable for no clear reason at all. Your body has physically arrived, but your internal clock has not caught up yet, and many travelers lose the first 2 days of their trip simply trying to feel normal again. Waiting until arrival to deal with jet lag is usually far too late to make a real difference. Smart travelers begin adjusting before departure, gradually shifting their bedtime and wake up time a few days before the trip, sometimes by only 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the direction of travel. Changing your watch or phone to destination time as soon as travel begins helps your mind adjust sooner, and using daylight strategically after landing makes a real difference, since morning light can help on many eastbound trips, while evening light may help more on westbound routes. Staying hydrated, moving around during the flight, and avoiding the temptation to oversleep on your first day all reduce the shock to your internal clock, giving you more energy and more real vacation time once you finally arrive. And travelers who take these small steps seriously often feel noticeably sharper and steadier on their very first full day, right when they most want to be exploring rather than recovering. Mistake 1. Not carrying a refillable water bottle after security. You clear security feeling relieved, and it is easy to forget that the dry cabin air ahead will quietly dehydrate you far faster than a normal day at home. Many travelers assume a small cup of water offered mid-flight is enough, when in reality, hours of dry recycled cabin air can leave you feeling foggy, tired, and uncomfortable long before landing. Buying bottled water inside the terminal after security often means paying several times the normal price for a single small bottle. And that cost adds up quickly across a long travel day filled with layovers and delays. An empty refillable bottle carried through security and filled at a water fountain on the other side solves this instantly, giving you consistent access to water throughout your entire journey without repeated trips to an overpriced kiosk. Staying properly hydrated also helps reduce the discomfort of swelling feet, headaches, and general fatigue that often builds during long hours of travel. It is one of the simplest habits on this entire list, and yet it is one of the most commonly forgotten, right up until thirst becomes impossible to ignore somewhere over the ocean, and a full bottle waiting in your bag before boarding means you never have to depend on a rushed flight attendant or an empty cart to feel comfortable during a long flight. And staying properly hydrated from takeoff to landing is one of the simplest gifts you can give your own body on travel day. Which of these 12 mistakes have you made before? And which one genuinely surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. because your experience might help another traveler avoid the exact same trap next time. If today's video helped you feel more prepared, consider subscribing to Fly Smart After 70 for more honest, practical travel guidance made specifically for travelers who refuse to let airports catch them off guard. Travel smart, stay alert, and never let an easy mistake quietly cost you hard-earned time or money again. Because the difference between a stressful trip and a genuinely relaxing one is rarely luck. It usually comes down to a handful of small, preventable choices made long before you ever reach the gate.